Okay, what we have here is called the Clouds Fly. If you're familiar with HobbyKing or Hobby City, which it used to be called, they have the same exact plane, but they actually call it the floater jet. It's made by the same manufacturer, AXN. I believe they just call it floater jet because that's what they want to call their package, because they actually sell it as a ready-to-fly plane, all except for your radio and receiver. Now, from a newbie standpoint, these are some things I've picked up that may help. When this plane first comes to you, it's going to come with the wings off, of course, and the motor is actually installed for you, so that's not a big deal. The rudder isn't going to be installed, and the tail assembly is not going to be installed with the elevator. No big deal. It comes with glue. You just go ahead and put some glue in there and pop it into the slots that are provided for you. You put the rudder down on top. Just make sure you apply a nice amount of glue to go ahead and adhere to it. This is what you call horns. These are actually going to be control linkage horns, and they go all the way through this tube, all the way up to the servos, which are mounted underneath of that black cover in there where there's an open space. When you go ahead and put all this together, make sure that you don't get any glue on your linkage here, because that can actually cause some problems, and I've read in past forums that people have run into that. Now, the control horn is actually mounted on the side here, and it goes towards the front of the plane. Absolutely has to go that way. It's a lot easier for you to fly. This control horn that's on what they call the elevator assembly, it does the same thing, and it points towards the front of the plane. Once again, make sure you don't get too much glue in there, or you'll screw up where the linkage, that metal wire goes all the way through to the front of your servos. The wings come in two sections. Mine aren't glued together. I'm going to come up with some kind of a hook and loop fastener or something so I can pull them apart. Ailerons will go here. Right now what I've done, because I'm a newbie with this particular plane, is I've gone ahead and just put packing tape across underneath and the top of it, and I'm going to fly it as a 3-channel plane, and then when I get better I'm going to pop the servos back on, and off we go. Some other things of interest is the prop comes, and they have these little spacers that go inside here to make up the difference on the shaft. What this prop is usually used for is a different type of prop. It's a front-loaded prop that we go on the front of the plane, but with these pusher type planes, you actually mount it to the rear here, which actually puts the prop around in a different position. So you put that on there, and that spacer takes up the difference for the shaft. Make sure that you have the convex part of the blade pointed towards the front of the plane with the writing on the front, and when you fire it up, you'll feel the air coming back from the prop pushing back, hence the name, the pusher. When it comes, you're going to have the wires. I pulled my wires back through here. They're usually all the way up in the front, but it was easier to put my bullet connectors on and go ahead and put my heat shrink on. When you get your electronic speed control and all set up, you're going to find when you go to plug these wires in that sometimes you may not get any current to the motor, or it's going to run backwards. Well, it's no big deal. Just flop out any two of these wires. They're not polar sensitive or anything like that. You're not going to fry your motor or your electronic speed control. Because what happened was I had my motor running backwards, and actually it wouldn't start at one time. So once I found out the sequence of the wires the way they needed to go, I went ahead and I put some electrical tape on there so that they would match up anytime I had to take them out or remove the electronic speed control for something else. I got yellow to yellow, black to black, and blue to blue. The setup I got was I bought the HobbyKing 2530 electronic speed control, the programmable one. I've got the card for it. I would recommend it. I think it's like under $10, because when I first plugged this thing in, I had major problems because the default settings would not work for me. And once I got some help online from RC Groups, which I do recommend, rcgroups.com, which I've been a member there since 2004. I've done planes and small helicopters and trucks and cars, and I've really been getting into the FE and the things, which is fast electric. This is also their receiver, HobbyKing HKTR6A, which is a 6-channel receiver. It's awesome setup. I actually bought the Hextronic 900 mini servos, and they're going to go inside. And I've also got the 2.4 HK T4A radio. Nice little setup. I mean, it really won't set you back as much as you think. I mean, I'm an old hobbyist and I've had thousands of dollars invested in this stuff, and this thing came down to just over $200, I think, for everything I had to invest. Inside the cockpit area, it's got a nice amount of room here. Your servos will mount there and there. I've tried a couple of different things and I wasn't happy with it. I tried hook and loop, which is like Velcro, and it didn't seem like it was stiff enough, moved around, and also spaced the servos out too close to each other to where the control horns actually hit. So the next move, I'm going to try some double-sided sticky tape, and I'm going to lock them in and see how that works out, because I know how servos are. Sometimes you have problems and I want to be able to remove them without ripping the plane apart and taking out a big chunk of and hopefully that'll work out. I'm going to make my own battery up, or you can get the LiPo battery, whatever you want to do. Something like this would be entirely too small from what I understand, so I'm going to build a nice sized battery pack, and maybe I'll put a video of that up sometime. Back to the receiver. With this 6-channel receiver, you're going to be using 4 channels of it. You don't plug into where it says battery for any newbies out there. What you want to do is you want your channel 3 coming from the electronic speed control to plug right into channel 3 there. That is going to be actually your throttle. That provides power also to the receiver. A lot of people look at this and the first time you think, well, maybe I need to plug it into battery. None of this comes with any instructions, so hopefully this will help out any of the newbies out there, or anybody that decides that, you know, they want to brush up on the newer electric stuff and they're coming from gassers. Also, these different like connectors, these servo connectors, if you look down on top of there, I don't know if you can see it, they have a metal surface there. That metal surface needs to hit the prongs. There's 3 prongs that go on there. The metal portion of the servo connector has to face up towards the top of the receiver. If it doesn't face up to the top of the receiver, then you're going to think you got some problems, and you don't. What's happening is you're not getting any connection, which isn't giving you any power to any of your electronics. So make sure that that goes up towards the top of the receiver. I think that should probably cover everything. The rest of it should be pretty self-explanatory. If not, like I said, consult with rcgroups.com and look for the Clouds Fly, aka AXN floater jet, and I'm sure somebody there would offer any kind of information or support that you want. Like I said, it looks like it's going to be a fun project. Thanks.